Namaskar, I am Anubhav Ranjan and you're watching Ritam. In a major policy move, US President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Saturday imposing sweeping tariffs on imports from Mexico, Canada, and China. This decision immediately triggered strong reactions, with North American neighbors retaliating while the global players, including the European Union, watched closely. Trump justified the move as a measure to combat the trade of the synthetic opioid fentanyl, though critics argued it was merely a legal pretext for bypassing congressional approval. Interestingly, despite Trump's repeated labeling of India as a tariff king, the country was exempt from these latest tariffs. Trump's decision marked the beginning of another phase of trade tensions, with a 25% tariff imposed on Mexican and Canadian goods and a 10% tariff on Chinese imports. His rationale for these tariffs revolved around large trade imbalances and the alleged role of these countries in facilitating the entry of fentanyl into the US. However, the move was widely seen as an escalation of his aggressive trade policies rather than a targeted attempt at curbing drug trafficking. Just 2 days later, on Monday, Trump partially eased the restrictions, agreeing to temporarily suspend the proposed tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods for 30 days. This decision came after separate phone discussions with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. Trudeau, in a statement on X, described his conversation with Trump as a good call and assured additional cooperation on border security. Meanwhile, President Sheinbaum confirmed that Mexico had committed to strengthening border enforcement in response to Trump's demands to curb immigration and drug smuggling, leading to a similar 30-day pause on tariffs targeting Mexican imports. India, which has been engaged in careful trade negotiations, has maintained a measured stance. According to data from the Research and Information System, India contributes only 3.2% of the US trade deficit, ranking 9th among deficit contributors. In contrast, China accounts for 30.2%, followed by Mexico at 19% and Canada at 14%. This relatively lower contribution, along with India's strategic diplomatic positioning, likely played a key role in securing its exemption from the latest tariffs. Despite past trade disputes, India has continued to emphasize the robustness of its economic ties with Washington. India-US relations are very strong, multifaceted, and our economic ties are something very special. We have established mechanisms between the US and India to discuss any trade-related matters, stated MEA spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal last week. A senior Indian official noted that Washington has issued warnings to BRICS nations, including India, Brazil, Russia, China, and South Africa, but India has remained unaffected by any immediate punitive measures. The India-US relationship is based on mutual trust, the official said, reaffirming that New Delhi is not contemplating any countermeasures that might jeopardize ties with Washington. India's import tariff policy, as highlighted in the economic survey released on Friday, has evolved to balance domestic economic goals with global trade integration. This approach has positioned India favorably amid shifting US trade strategies. Since Trump's return for a second term, India has signaled its willingness to collaborate with the US to resolve trade and immigration-related concerns. Both nations are aiming for a bolder, bigger, and more ambitious partnership. The bilateral trade in goods and services reached $190 billion in 2023, underlining the economic significance of the relationship. During a recent phone call on January 27, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Trump discussed strengthening cooperation in trade, technology, and defense. Modi reaffirmed India's commitment to a mutually beneficial and trusted partnership, reinforcing that New Delhi sees Washington as a key strategic ally. While Trump's latest tariff measures have intensified global trade tensions, India has successfully navigated the situation with a pragmatic and diplomatic approach. By maintaining strong economic ties and reinforcing mutual trust, New Delhi has avoided immediate repercussions while positioning itself as a key player in global trade negotiations. As the US continues to redefine its trade policies, India remains poised to strengthen its economic and strategic partnership with Washington, ensuring long-term stability in bilateral relations. Jai Hind.